The animations just don't stop, do they? So now let's talk about the Batman. Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. So Batman Beyond Return of the Joker is a DC animated movie that's set in the DC animated universe. If you don't know what the DC animated universe is, it's basically the universe created by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and, the guys that made Batman cool again. And it started with Batman the Animated Series, continued into the new Batman Adventures, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League, Static Shock, and Batman Beyond. And it's the Batman Beyond show that this show is a spin-off from. Now I could do an entire video just on Batman Beyond, but the basic gist of the show is Bruce Wayne, he's much older now, he's in his 80s, he looks like Boris Karloff, and he just can't be Batman anymore. So through a series of circumstances, he comes into contact with a young kid named Terry McGinnis, who basically steals the Batsuit, but Bruce uses this as an opportunity to train him and make him become a better Batman than he ever was. And while you don't necessarily need to watch the show to understand this movie, it does help, and it's a good show. But if I'm being honest, the best thing about this movie is how it works as a series finale to Batman Beyond. Batman Beyond didn't end with a big finale episode. It just kind of petered out with just any other episode. This movie, although it came out in 2000, which is right in the middle of Batman Beyond's run, is set a few years afterwards where Terry McGinnis is a little bit older, he's a little bit more experienced with the Batsuit, and because of that, it feels a lot more like a series finale than just another episode or a spin-off movie. And that could be because of the villain they decided to bring back, and yeah, it's the Joker, voiced by Mark Hamill once again. We got Kevin Conroy as old Batman, we got Ron Stoppable as Terry McGinnis, and we've got Mark Hamill as the Joker. This is the perfect voice cast. But the voice cast can only do so much if there's not a great story behind it. And this story, it's okay. It's an okay story. It's not great. It has great moments in it. But the story as a whole is kind of lame. I'm not gonna lie, the actual story, the actual plot, it gets a little silly, which is kind of weird for me to say because this was a direct-to-DVD Batman animated cartoon aimed at little kids. But here's the thing, the kind of content that Bruce Timm and company put out in regards to Batman, and especially Batman Beyond, even when they were marketing it to little kids, they still wanted enough in there to give real dramatic tension and weight and character development and all the things that just make a good story and make it so that parents don't want to pull their hair out when the kid wants to watch Batman for the 10th time. They really did try to accommodate the whole family. They wanted it to be intense enough to make the adults care, and they wanted it to be fun enough so that the kids wouldn't just run out of the room crying. But anyway, what is the story of Return of the Joker? Well, it's the story of Batman Beyond. Bruce Wayne's old, Terry McGinnis is picking up the mantle. He's been doing it for some time at this point. And you've got the Jokers with the Z, and they're causing trouble, but they're causing a bit more trouble than they used to, and that's because the Joker is back. He's back in Gotham City, hiding out behind the scenes, orchestrating the Joker's gang because he has some real big plans. And when the Joker has his big reveal, it stops everyone dead in their tracks. And this brings me to my favorite aspect of this movie, and it's that whenever the Joker comes up in conversation, Batman, Barbara Gordon, Tim Drake, they all clam up. They do not want Terry to know about all the horrible things the Joker's done in the past. Because Terry McGinnis, he's read the files, he knows kind of what happened, he knows all about the Joker and his gags and everything and his gimmicks, but he doesn't know the Joker. He doesn't know what he's capable of. I mean, any fan of DC Comics knows that the Joker is the most dangerous psychopath in Gotham City, and that you should not take that lightly. And Bruce Wayne knows this, and Barbara Gordon knows this, and Tim Drake for sure knows this, for reasons I'll get to later. But for a lot of this movie, it's just Terry trying to get information out of these older people so that he will be prepared when he has to take on the Joker. And I love this because it gives such weight and meaning to the character of the Joker. Because up until now in the DC animated universe, we really haven't seen the Joker do anything that bad. I mean, yeah, he did try to kill a bunch of people, and, Mark Hamill's Joker is terrifying, and he was part of the mob, and he is unpredictable, and all the things that make a great Joker. But he never did anything as extreme as what he did in The Killing Joke, or the time he shot Gordon's wife, or, the time he killed Jason Todd, because Jason Todd wasn't in this show, as far as we knew at the time. But even though the Joker never did anything nearly that bad, he definitely left an impression on these people. And I like that. I like how we can see the psychological effects that the Joker has had on this team, even decades after he's dead. And it shows that these writers had a lot of respect for the character of the Joker, and that they wanted to do his character justice. They didn't want to just bring him back for the laughs. I don't know if that pun was intended, but I'm keeping it in. They knew if they were going to bring back the Joker that they would have to do it the right way and give it the respect that that character deserves. It's the Joker. It's the biggest Batman villain of all time. Everybody knows the Joker, so you can't mess it up. So now let's talk about how they messed it up. Well, that's not completely fair. They didn't totally mess it up. It's just that the third act of this movie gets very weird. It gets very science fiction-y, and I don't know. I just watched it again recently, and I still don't fully grasp how this works. And this is where I will get into spoiler territory, just so I can explain how I feel about the third act. So if you haven't seen this movie, go watch it. It's on HBO Max. I think it's also on YouTube. Last time I checked, it was broken up into 10 or so parts, and I think it's all there, so check it out there if you don't have HBO Max. But I do recommend this movie at the end of the day, mainly because of the flashback scene that I can't talk about without spoiling it. So again, spoiler warning, I'm going to get into spoilers. Let's go. Okay, so the ending of this movie explains how the Joker returned. So it turns out that the Joker isn't actually the Joker. It's the Joker's consciousness that was implanted into Tim Drake, that I guess when he reached a certain age, or the Joker consciousness had a certain level of control, that he could actually switch from a Tim Drake looking dude to a Joker looking dude in like the blink of an eye. And not only would his appearance change, but his mannerisms would change, his voice would change, everything would change. He would become the Joker. So this is kind of a cool idea, and it does tie back to the flashback scene that I'm gonna get to. Don't think I forgot. The explanation does seem a little cheap. Like, we're not actually looking at the Joker, we're looking at a weird, messed up aftershocks of Tim Drake's torture as a kid. I don't know, that just seems kind of a letdown after all the amazing Joker stuff that we've seen already. But I get it, they had to fit in the continuity, so that doesn't take that much out of the movie for me. It's just one of those things where the suspension of disbelief was kind of abused, and it's not the most realistic, and I'm still not completely sure how that little chip got there without him knowing, and why it took so long. And I don't know, maybe they explained it better and I just wasn't paying attention, but it seemed a little lazy. But really my issue with the climax isn't so much the reveal of the Joker, which, I mean, that was never gonna be completely satisfying if we're being honest. It's the Joker's plan that I don't fully understand. He basically stole access to a satellite with a laser on it that he's gonna use to wipe out Terry McGinnis's house, Wayne Manor, and Crime Alley, to kill Batman and everything he loves and everything that Batman stands for, and, you know, all that stuff. Now, Joker knows who Batman is at this point. I mean, not only did he figure it out in the flashback, he also is Tim Drake, so he has all Tim Drake's memories. But if I were writing it, I wouldn't want Joker to kill Batman. Right, that's his whole point. That's his shtick. Even in the animated series, from time to time, when he did craft ways to kill Batman, he never went through with it. Because after the episode of The Man Who Killed Batman, he figured out that without Batman, crime has no punchline. There's no purpose without Batman. Unless he was just gonna kill himself later, and that would just be the end with him and Batman. That'd be a way to go. But no, it seemed like he just wanted to wipe out everything having to do with Batman so that he could start fresh. But I mean, that doesn't really add up, does it? Instead, I would think that, okay, maybe he wants to wipe out all the old Batman stuff. Maybe he wants to use that to stoke the fires within Terry McGinnis, to make him hardened like the original Batman was, so he has a more fun playmate to battle with. I don't know, something could have made this climax better. It's just kind of disappointing, underwhelming, it doesn't add up to much. But let's end on a more positive note. Let's talk about this flashback scene. Now, this flashback scene is perfect. And I don't use that word a lot. Usually there's something to criticize about this flashback scene. It really is a perfect little Batman, Bat family tragedy that unfolds in this scene. Robin, Tim Drake, gets kidnapped by the Joker for 3 weeks and undergoes very intense torture and brainwashing to the point where Joker molds him into this terrifyingly adorable little J. Oh my goodness, just look at that design. That is a Joker Jr. if I ever seen it. Now while I'm talking about designs, the design for the Joker is a pretty interesting design in itself. It matches what we see in the future, but this new design is actually more clever than you might think. You guys may already know this, but when Batman the Animated Series turned into the new Batman Adventures, a lot changed, especially the design of the Joker. Now Mark Hamill's Joker originally looked like this, you know, bright, colorful clown, a lot of contrast and yellow, especially in the eyes. But then he was redesigned into this. And they just sucked all the color out of that design. I honestly don't know why they did such a weird choice. I mean, the Joker is this bright, colorful clown, the opposite of Batman, and they took all the color out of his face. Like, where's the lipstick? Where's the yellow eyes? What are you doing, guys? So when Batman Beyond came around, they very cleverly didn't use the Joker at all. Probably because they got enough backlash already from the fans with this redesign. But more likely, they didn't want to ruin the character by just bringing him back in the future. They wanted to save it for a special opportunity, hence Return of the Joker. Now, in Return of the Joker, he looks a little different, doesn't he? He's still quite pale and kind of flat, but they do bring in a bit more color, especially around the lips and in the hair. So it is kind of the perfect blend of the two styles, and it's a good compromise. In my opinion, none of these designs were ever as good as the original Joker design by Bruce Timm, but this one isn't terrible, it is better. But anyway, so Joker brainwashes Tim Drake, makes him into his little J, but Batman comes flying into Arkham Asylum. Him and Batgirl are fighting Joker and Harley Quinn. They're completely enraged and saddened at what happened to Tim, and they're ready to end it. Batman's honestly ready to kill the Joker, even though we all know that he's probably not. But that's not all. The Joker shows Batman these very sick home movies of him torturing Robin. And in true Joker fashion, it combines horror and comedy in a way that you can only get with the Joker. And this all builds to Joker having the upper hand on Batman. Joker tosses the gun to his brainwashed child and tells him to shoot Batman. And this is the part that really sticks with me. It's not that JJ fights the brainwashing and moves the gun to the side and shoots Joker instead. It's the kid's laugh. You can't tell if that laugh is just psychotic, mindless, brainwashed laughter, or if it's laughter trying to hide the pain and the crying that's going on inside of him. It's haunting, and I don't know what Andrea Romano, the voice director, did to get that sound, but she made it work, and that laugh is not going away anytime soon in my mind. Now I should probably talk about the parallels that this shares with the comics. You know, the Joker doing unspeakable things to a Robin is not unheard of. I mean, Death in the Family is a pretty close comparison. And I think this is an interesting case of different interpretations because, in my opinion, what he did to Tim Drake in this movie is far worse than what he did to Jason Todd in A Death in the Family. Now, A Death in the Family is a tragedy, don't get me wrong. Jason Todd gets beaten with a crowbar. He's within an inch of his life. There's a bomb. Batman is rushing there. He's late by 10 seconds, and Jason is blown to smithereens. It's very sad. Jason's dead. I mean, he does come back later as the Red Hood. We all know this. But at the time, he was dead, and that was a big deal in comics. And even though the fans voted to have him killed, you do feel bad that this kid is dead. I mean, Batman's reaction alone is enough to send shivers down the spine. He really got into a depression after that. He was not okay. But here's the thing. Jason died. The suffering and the psychological damage that the Joker did to him only lasted for as long as he had the crowbar. And once the bomb went off, it was done. Jason was at peace. Tim Drake in this movie never gets that. He doesn't get to die and be at peace. He was brainwashed by the Joker, forced to give up all of his secrets. Everything he knew about Bruce Wayne and Batgirl and his life as a crime fighter was given to Joker. And on top of that, he was put into a position where he had to kill his mentor. Those scars do not go away easily, and this movie does a fantastic job at showing how, even as an adult, Tim Drake still struggles. He's put it behind him, more or less. He still has those nightmares, and that's something that you never really get over. So if you were to ask me which case is a more messed up Joker moment, I would pick the movie made for kids. Because for me, watching a little kid get brainwashed into becoming the Joker is more disturbing than watching a kid get blown up. Well, this video ended on a darker note than I thought it would, but it just goes to show that Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and company, they crafted these stories not just for little kids. They crafted them for the whole family. But now I turn it over to you guys. What do you think of Return of the Joker? And more specifically, what do you think of that flashback scene? Did it leave an impression on you when you were younger? I know it did for me. I will never forget Little Jay's laugh as long as I live. But whatever your story is, leave it in the comments below. And if you liked this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more content. And hit the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a video. And as always, I'm Colby. This is my Nerdy Talk. And I'll see you in the next video.